The regular season is just around the corner, and the contributors at Talk Sox have taken part in what is prospect ranking season, which is something that is pretty standard around this time around the industry. And at Talk Sox, we have ranked our top 20 prospects. In this video, we will look at prospects 16 through 20 as voted on by the contributors at Talk Sox. And following this video, we will look at prospects 11 through 15, 6 through 10, and 1 through 5. So stick around and let's talk about prospects 16 through 20 in the Boston Red Sox organization. Coming in at number 20, we have right-handed starting pitcher Jon Holubets. Holubets is a guy who doesn't have overpowering stuff and honestly doesn't have great secondaries at the moment, but one thing he does have is elite command and control over the strike zone. Last year at AA, he pitched 37 2/3 innings and only walked 5 batters. Now, his fastball sits in the mid to upper 90s, but he does have 6.5 feet of extension. And so his fastball is able to play up, which includes having a 17-inch induced vertical break. That's going to help, especially in the top half of the strike zone. But again, it's his secondaries that are ultimately going to be the biggest question mark of whether he can improve his prospect ranking, whether he can make it to the major leagues. He tweaked his slider over the offseason to give it more of a bullet form, and his curveball is very much a work in progress. As of right now, he's looking like a guy who, if he does make it to the major leagues, he's going to be more of a middle reliever type role, which those guys are valuable, those guys are needed, but in terms of high-end upside, Jon Holubets is not that guy. And coming in at number 19, we have a two-way player out of the 2024 draft class in Conrad Cason. He is a right-handed pitcher and a middle infielder. Now, Conrad Cason had to go on Tommy John surgery last year, and so he is going to miss the 2026 season on the mound. However, he is taking ground balls at second base and shortstop and kind of testing that arm this season. On the mound, he has a fastball that can reach the upper 90s. Now, again, he went under Tommy John surgery, and so it's going to take some time for that to come back, even after he returns to the mound in 2027. His secondary offerings include a changeup, which he can kind of tweak a little bit. It typically sits low 80s, but depending on the spin that he puts on the ball, it can be a changeup, it can be a curveball, so he has some versatility there. On the other side of the ball, at least right now, he kind of profiles as a glove-first middle infielder. He has a good knowledge of the strike zone, but he does struggle with pitch recognition, which is pretty common for young players, something that he's definitely going to need to develop. In the long run, does he stick as a two-way player? That definitely remains to be seen, but evaluators would say that they favor him as a pitcher, but think that his bat will be good enough to fall back on if he does want to either transition to just a position player or stick with that two-way ability. And coming in at number 18, we have center fielder Nelly Taylor. Now, he is definitely a developmental project. He has great raw power that he needs to transition to in-game power. He's kind of that typical, he can produce a lot of power, but that does come with a significant amount of swing and miss. Now, on the other hand, he has shown good knowledge of the strike zone, which is evident by his high walk rates. But in the long run, his ceiling is probably that of a kind of a platoon bat that can face right-handed pitching. Now, he has tremendous speed and base running instincts, so that is going to help obviously on the base pass, but also on the other side of the ball as a center fielder, he can cover a lot of ground. Now, he still kind of grades out as more of an average center fielder simply just because his arm is not overly strong, which is kind of typical of a center fielder, not necessarily needed. Usually your strong arms are in the corner outfields, but even more, it's not overly accurate. And so, again, he is definitely a developmental project, needs to make a little bit more contact, needs to turn that raw power into in-game power, and then needs to improve defensively in center field if he wants to make the major league level. Coming in at number 17, right-handed pitcher Tyler Uberstine. Now, he missed a season due to Tommy John surgery, but he bounced back phenomenally last year. In 91 innings, he struck out 102 batters. His primary pitch is a two-seam fastball that is extremely productive. It sits in the mid to upper 90s, but it has 11 inches of arm side run, which resulted in a 38% whiff rate at the AAA level. He pairs that with a slider that sits in the mid 80s, a changeup that sits in the low 80s. He also has a sinker, and then he does feature a cutter specifically against left-handed batters. He was protected from the Rule 5 draft over the offseason, so he is on the 40-man roster. The Boston Red Sox clearly see value in having him, even though he projects as just kind of a mid to maybe high leverage reliever. And to finish off this portion of the rankings, we have Yophery Rodriguez, an outfielder, as the number 16th ranked prospect. Now, Yophery is, again, just another very big developmental project. He does not have great launch angles, great exit velocities. He kind of has like a short, choppy swing, and so his in-game power is almost non-existent. Pairing that with average speed, he isn't able to just, pound the ball into the ground to try and beat out something at first base. So he's going to have to improve in that area. On the other side of the ball, he's also not great defensively. He doesn't necessarily have the instincts or the speed to cover center field, and so he's looking like more of a corner outfield bat. You pair that with his hitting profile right now, and it's going to be a long journey to get him to the major league level. And as of right now, he's looking mostly like kind of an end of bench guy, which can have value, but his upside just isn't that high for the 16th ranked prospect in the organization. And so that is your 16 through 20 ranked prospects. To recap that real quick, that was number 20, John Holubetz, number 19, Conrad Cason, number 18, Nelly Taylor, number 17, Tyler Uberstine, and number 16, Yophery Rodriguez. Now, if you'd like a little bit of a deeper dive on each of these players, visit TalkSox.com, where Nick John put together an article ranking and discussing prospects 16 through 20. Make sure you join the comments on that article as well. As for the comments on this video, let us know who you think is either overranked or underranked within the organization. And make sure you're visiting all our social media platforms for Talk Sox for all your latest Boston Red Sox updates, news, and stories.